One of the most common mistakes gardeners make today is planting the same crop in the same bed year after year, and then, wondering why pests and diseases keep returning. Repeatedly growing tomatoes, peppers, or brassicas in the same soil guarantees that the pests and pathogens feeding on them become established, persistent, and, honestly, really hard to control. Sprays, traps, and chemical solutions may offer temporary relief, but well, they don't solve the underlying problem. In my experience with backyard gardens, raised beds, and even container and hydro systems, crop rotation is the tool that prevents infestations before they start. It's simple, effective, and far less labor-intensive than constant pest management. If you're serious about gardening, understanding rotation is not optional. It's foundational. Rotation isn't just about annual movement. It's also about spatial separation. In small backyard gardens, it's tempting to rotate crops in adjacent beds, but pests and diseases can easily migrate short distances. I maintain at least a one-bed buffer between plant families when possible. If brassicas occupy one bed, I follow with legumes or root crops in the neighboring bed. Even in hydroponics, rotating channels or using different tanks for each crop family reduces pathogen buildup and minimizes cross-contamination. Some gardeners misunderstand rotation as simply changing crops. That's not enough. Rotation, must consider plant families and pest cycles. Solanaceae crops, like tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and potatoes, share quite a few pathogens, including blight and nematodes. Rotating within the same family, honestly, is just not effective. I've seen gardeners switch from tomatoes to peppers, thinking they're rotating, only to face the same pest outbreaks. A proper rotation separates families entirely. Solanaceae one season, legumes or leafy greens the next, then brassicas, then root crops. This really interrupts pest and disease cycles fully. Cover crops and green manures extend rotation benefits. Older gardens used fallow periods strategically, planting cover crops to starve pests and improve soil. I often plant winter rye, clover, or vetch in beds after a heavy vegetable harvest. These crops suppress weeds, enrich the soil, and break pest cycles. I've also observed that adding a layer of composted cover crop material before the next planting enhances beneficial microbial populations, further protecting crops naturally. Rotation supports long-term resilience more than reactive treatments. A common mistake is assuming pests can be managed with insecticides alone. In my experience, chemical applications rarely eliminate a problem and often disrupt natural predators, creating secondary infestations. Rotation prevents the problem from arising in the first place. In raised beds, this method reduces slug, caterpillar, and nematode pressure significantly, making it possible to maintain healthy crops without repeated chemical interventions. Hydroponic systems benefit similarly. Rotating crops in nutrient channels or media beds reduces pathogen load and maintains strong plant health. The timing of rotation is also critical. I schedule rotations with the life cycles of both crops and pests in mind. For example, after a summer of brassicas, I plant legumes in the fall or early winter. This gap interrupts the life cycle of soil-borne brassica pests, reducing the population for the next growing season. Observing local pest life cycles and aligning crop changes accordingly makes rotation more effective than simply following a calendar. Rotation can also be integrated with selective pruning and sanitation. Old gardeners didn't rely on rotation alone. Removing diseased plant material, composting carefully, and pruning dense canopies reduces pest habitats and enhances airflow. In my backyard tomatoes, I remove lower leaves after fruit set and apply rotation principles in the following season. In hydroponic setups, removing roots from the previous crop and sanitizing channels before introducing a new plant family prevents pathogen carryover. Rotation amplifies these preventative measures, creating an overall healthier ecosystem. Even small gardens can implement rotation effectively. For a 3-foot wide raised bed, I divide the bed into 4 sections and rotate plant families each season, brassicas, leafy greens, legumes, root crops. I maintain this sequence each year, even in compact spaces. The key is recording what went where, tracking pest pressure, and adjusting the rotation if any pests persist. Rotation works best when applied consistently, not sporadically. The lesson from older gardens is clear. Proactive planning beats reactive treatment every time. Crop rotation isn't optional, it's the foundation of resilient gardening. It naturally suppresses pests, improves soil fertility, and produces healthier plants without constant intervention. In both traditional soil beds and modern hydro systems, rotating crops reduces stress, prevents disease buildup, and ensures long-term productivity. If you want a garden that thrives with fewer chemicals, fewer pest outbreaks, and stronger yields, start thinking like an old gardener. Plan your rotations, observe your plant families, and use timing strategically. Over time, you'll see healthier plants, less pest pressure, and soil that maintains its fertility naturally. If you found this practical, experience-driven approach useful, subscribe to Easy Garden Life. Share this video with other gardeners who want to control pests naturally, grow healthier crops, and take advantage of age-old methods that still outperform modern shortcuts. Rotation is simple, but applied consistently, it changes everything in the garden.